Sometimes soldiers make mistakes in the United States Army, but you don't want that to land you in some big trouble to where you get Article 15, which can cost you some rank, cost you some pay, cost you some free time because now you have to do some extra duty. All sorts of things can happen if you end up with getting what's called an Article 15. So making sure you keep your nose clean is very key. But I'm U.S. Army Veteran Christopher Chaos, and in today's video, I want to explain to you 5 possible ways that someone could make a mistake and get themselves an Article 15. What's up, my friends? Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're talking about some common, I guess-ish mistakes, some things that can get you an Article 15, because sometimes people want to know, maybe they heard me talk about Article 15s, they're getting in trouble, and they want to know specifically what is something that could get them in trouble if they did it and get them an Article 15. I have a pretty old video, I think, on talking about Article 15s, and I can even, link it up in a card up here if you want to click on it and check it out a little bit later or whatever. Come back to this video, click on it, whatever, right? Search it on my channel. But I kind of want to explain some things that could possibly get you an Article 15. I got 5 of them, and there could be probably more, but I'm going to try to kind of list some common ones that I know of that I've actually had experience with soldiers getting Article 15s, and kind of, let you know that this is something that could possibly get you an Article 15. Now, me, myself, I'm pretty lucky. I kept my nose clean. I never got an Article 15. I might have gotten in some trouble a little bit here and there, but nothing serious enough to give me an Article 15. But I do know some soldiers that did do some serious stuff or did do some things that got them Article 15. So we're going to kind of cover them, and we're going to start off with 5 of them that I wanted to kind of specifically outline. Now, the first one I kind of have to start off with is like some of the obvious ones. It's actually multiple things that's clustered into number 1, but I feel like I have to address the obvious, because if I don't, and it's an obvious thing, that I'm going to get people in the comments talking about, well, this will get you an Article 15, that'll get you an Article 15, so let's address the really obvious things that are getting you an Article 15. Obvious things that are going to get you Article 15 is things like if you were to commit a crime, you were to assault another soldier, maybe higher ranking, lower ranking, whatever. That's going to probably get you an Article 15 most likely. Obvious ones like DUIs, drug-related kind of things, and even drug-related ones sometimes can even also get you kicked out of the Army, but it can also get you Article 15s. There are probably a lot of those extreme ones, right? If it's extreme enough that, like, if you did it on the civilian side and it's illegal and you do it in the Army, it's probably going to also be illegal, obviously, and it's probably going to land you an Article 15. So the first one is the obvious stuff: assault, DUIs, drugs, crimes, all sorts of things like that. The obvious things that are going to get you in hot water with the police is also going to get you in hot water with the military, with the Army, and get you an Article 15. So let's kind of get away from some of those obvious ones you probably know would get a soldier in Article 15. Let's get into some less obvious ones that maybe you don't know about. One of those is adultery. I've talked about in a previous video that in the military and the Army, adultery is illegal. In the civilian world, I mean, it's frowned upon, and you're not going to get fired or punished at your job if you cheat on your spouse, but in the Army, you will. Now, that's even, let's say you're a single soldier, right? You're a single soldier, and the person you're hooking up with is married. You will still get an Article 15 for doing that. I've known that. I knew a soldier that hooked up with a married woman, and they were having a relationship and got caught, so both of them ended up with Article 15s. There was one that was kind of a little bit messed up. But I guess based on legalities of it, it still resulted in Article 15, and that was where I knew an NCO who was in a relationship with another NCO, and she was still married even though she was separated from her husband and wanting to get a divorce and actually trying to start the process to get a divorce, but because she hadn't done any of the full-on process just yet and hasn't filed any paperwork yet, then technically it was wrong, so they both gotten actually in some trouble and got some Article 15s because she was still married even though they were in a relationship, and she was in the possibility of, getting divorced or in the process of getting divorced, but not officially on paper yet. So that is something that can result in Article 15. Of course, if you don't get caught, then I guess, sure, you're not going to get Article 15. But if someone finds out that you're married and you're having a relationship with someone else, you can get Article 15. If that other person's also in the military, they can get Article 15. Even if they are a single soldier, or if you're a single soldier and you're doing stuff with a married individual, you can still get the Article 15. Another one is being late often. Now, if you're late a little bit here and there, it's probably going to result in maybe either just a stern talking to, maybe some corrective training, maybe what's called a counseling statement, which is just documenting in writing that you messed up and here are the corrective actions you have to take to kind of fix it, kind of a thing. But if you were, let's say, late pretty often, it could possibly result in Article 15. Now, to the extent of, let's say, you being a specialist and going down to a private, no, probably not to that extent. But there are a lot of different levels of Article 15. Sometimes Article 15s result in losing rank, just losing some pay, or just getting some extra duty. I have seen some soldiers that have just had a horrible habit of being late all the time. And yeah, they didn't get reduced in rank, they didn't lose any pay, but they did end up with like a week or two of extra duty, which still sucks. For those of you who don't know what extra duty is, basically means once you're done with the day, you have to go report to somebody else and work all the way up till midnight. And you're getting off at midnight, but then still having to report back for physical fitness probably like 6:30 in the morning. So it ends up really ruining your days and making the days really long. And that also includes weekends and holidays. If it's a weekend or a holiday, still the same thing. You're pretty much every single day, work day, non-work day, working until midnight. And that'll last for however long the extra duty is. But I've seen some individuals before where they were just chronically late all the time and couldn't get their crap together. So eventually they just built up too many counselings and they're like, screw it, we're gonna give this guy an Article 15. Like I said, it was like Article 15, like we got extra duty, but still nonetheless, it still takes away your free time. And still sucks, something you still don't wanna get. Even at the lowest level of Article 15, you still don't wanna get an Article 15. Another way they can land someone in Article 15 is disobeying orders. Now, you probably realize that that's probably obvious, but let me give you some examples. Some examples of things that maybe are outside of like, an officer or an NCO trying to tell you to go and execute this mission. I'm talking about something like maybe there's a curfew in place or there's off-limits areas. Those are disobeying an order. So if the commander, the leadership, the installation, whatever, let's say has set a curfew, like for example, Korea, pretty common. They kind of tested getting rid of that. I don't know if they did get rid of that, but anyways, with Korea, they had like a curfew or still have a curfew, whatever. And if you were outside of that curfew, they would lock the gates and you get in trouble for that. And if they caught you outside of curfew, that could potentially land you in Article 15 because it's disobeying an order where you have a curfew and a time you're supposed to be back on base. That would also be the same like you have off-limits areas. If there are certain areas that are off-limits, maybe because it's high crime area, high drug trafficking area, something that they don't want soldiers associating themselves with, then they usually make it off-limits. And if you're caught in those off-limits areas, then yeah, you could possibly get an Article 15 for that. So of course, maybe disobeying an order to go do this mission, maybe, might get you in trouble and could land your Article 15, but I'm kind of specifically talking about other things that kind of fall in that category of disobeying order, like the curfew and off-limits areas, and there's all sorts of other things. So if your leadership has some kind of policy, and the policy is don't do this, don't go here, don't go do that, whatever, and you don't follow those, that could possibly land you in Article 15. One last one is losing equipment. Now, I'm not talking about something insignificant like losing a PT belt. You lose a PT belt, kind of a thing, they're gonna make you buy a new one or whatever, so you have it, or lose a piece of your uniform kind of a thing. But certain major things, certain major pieces of equipment could land you in Article 15. Ways I've seen people get Article 15s is losing a weapon, losing some night vision goggles or NVGs type of thing, and that possibly can land someone in Article 15 if after they do the investigation, which usually happens when something like that happens, they find that it was lost or damaged or destroyed or whatever due to negligence, you could end up with Article 15. There was a soldier I saw get an Article 15 for damaging a pair of nods. It was like his second or third offense where he'd had it before where like he lost a weapon or something like that and then they found it later on, or he lost his NVGs and they found it later on. And in this case, I think this was like the second or third time or something like that. And again, misplaces NVGs. Well, this time they got ran over by a truck and got destroyed. So they don't make you pay necessarily for the NVGs. They're not gonna be like, well, these NVGs cost this much, so we're gonna take that out of your pay. They'll probably punish you with Article 15. In this case, I believe this soldier got, I think, like a fine kind of a thing where they take it out of your paycheck of a fine, which kind of like I guess is paying like for the NVGs, and I think ended up with like a week of extra duty or something like that. So that could potentially happen if they find that it's negligence. In this case, the soldier was a repeat offender of being irresponsible, so they had to teach him a lesson by making it hurt, right? Giving that person Article 15. Other situations, if it was like the first time, it was an accident, they do some investigation, they're like, okay, it was a mistake, we're not gonna, bust you in rank, we're not gonna, take some of your pay, we're not gonna put you on extra duty, but hey, don't make it an issue and don't make it a thing where it happens again or whatever, or maybe we might. I've heard from like people that are being scammed where they'll say that, oh, this person I'm talking to lost their weapon overseas and they can't come back until they pay for that weapon. No, that's not how that's gonna work. it would probably be more like an investigation, figure out if it was negligence or not, and then if it was negligence, then possibly give the person Article 15, but not hold them hostage in another country until they pay for that weapon. On the topic of losing a weapon, that's a pretty common thing that people want to know about. Like, what would happen if I lost a weapon? Which you don't want to do that. You don't want to lose a weapon, whether it's in the field, on a deployment, in some kind of training or whatever. Don't want to lose a weapon. But if you're curious as to what would happen if a soldier lost a weapon, I have a video right here that you can check out. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Check out some links down in the description box down below for Instagram, the Discord channel, all of that fun stuff. Hit that thumbs up for me. I'm Christopher Chaos. I'll see you next time. See ya.